Good morning. Do you ever wonder why some people lean in and others tune out, and why some leaders are better at getting others to lean in and others to tune out? It's not about power. It's not about charisma. Heck, it's not even about one simple skill. It's about a method that is used, and almost no one talks about it. Today, we're going to learn about it. Are you ready, Drive Tribe? I've got my True Bar with me today. I don't know if y'all have tried these, but they're delicious. I'm going to get revved up and ready this morning so I can bring you the best show that we hopefully have ever had. If you think you like the show, like, subscribe, share it with others, follow. Let's have a little fun today, and let's kick it off. We're back at the drive at 5. It's a little bit past 5:45. I got a little interested in the Animorph series. I've been reading that with Brooklyn a little bit. It is Teachable Moment Tuesday, and today we are learning a method. It's 4 letters, but it's a powerful method for us to be able to lead better and deal with conflict, deal with issues as they come up, resolve those problems in a way that keeps your team members engaged, keeps your customers engaged. It is very simple. It is LVLL. You know how much I love acronyms. It's not some, I guess is that Greek? Roman. It's not some Roman numeral numbering. No, it is listen, validate, learn, and lead. Listen, validate, learn, and lead. Somebody have that third L being something different. Doesn't matter. It's about the same thing. It's called level. So level or learn. Either way works. But we're going to jump in. When you skip steps along that process and you try to short circuit it or shortcut it, you end up in a position where your team does not feel, and your customers won't feel, like they've been heard, they've been understood and seen, and that you are learning from the mistakes that you've made. So let's kick it off. Let's start with a coach, right? So there's this coach. His team was struggling. They had a lot of injuries throughout the year and really just was not having a great year. And as they went into the game and come into halftime, the coach just goes, look, hey, no speeches. I'm here to listen. Y'all tell me. And as the players talked about, frustrations, burnout, hey, I'm not getting the help I need. We don't all understand the playbook, all the different things. All he did was listen. And then he validated. Now, you also don't have to agree to validate somebody. You can say, look, I hear you. No, that I can see how you feel that way. That makes a lot of sense. And in this case, he was able to be honest. He's like, hey, it's been brutal. Like, it's been a brutal season. We're having a struggle. People are hurt. You guys are having to play out of position. You're having to play more minutes than you want to. Tell me what you need from me and from each other. And that's the learn stage. And then after all of that, after he's learned what the problem really is, now he's able to address it. And that's how you come back from adversity with a team. So let me give you another example, real life example. I watch this guy on TikTok. It's Amalfi Jets. He does private jets. I don't have enough money to rent a private jet, but it's a very interesting videos to watch. And he obviously has high-end clientele, so he has to entertain these folks in a way that maybe is different than your traditional, customer service job, right? You have to treat them a little bit different. A lot of these folks come from money. They expect to be treated a certain way. He's the one that introduced me to this LVLL method. So what had happened? He gets a phone call from his operations team. His ops team has told him, hey, this gentleman has rented a plane. He's coming out of Denver, Colorado area, Salt Lake City. So he's out of Salt Lake City. They've landed in Salt Lake City for this layover because the plane has a problem and it's not safe to fly. We're working some ways to get another plane out there. Here are our options. And so he, got 3 planes, different options for them to be able to get a plane out there. But he knew he was going to get a call from the customer. And the customer called. The customer's mad, of course, that he's got this layover that he didn't expect, and he's going to get home late, flying back to Florida. And so he's having a conversation with the customer. Obviously, he lets the customer talk out his frustrations. Hey, what the heck's going on, man? I've had waited 2 hours already. My kids are hungry. My wife's frustrated. We're sitting here at an airport with nothing to do. How can we fix this problem? And that's where the first step starts, right? You listen to him, let him get everything out, right? Don't interrupt. Don't start solving the problem at the beginning. You listen. And he said, hey, you're right. I mean, this is terrible. This isn't the service or level of service we like to provide. You're dead on right, and I'd be very upset too. So let me talk you through what we got. And then he's like, hey, would you rather? Here's the three options I've got. This is the kind of leveling/learning area where he was saying, hey, I've got this option. You can stay at the airport, and in 2 hours, I'm going to have a plane over to you. One of three planes. One's in Las Vegas, one's over here in Colorado, one's in LA, whatever it was. Within 2 hours, I'll have a plane to you. They'll be refueled and be ready to pick you up, take you on. That's going to get you home about 9 o'clock. He said, now, the other options, you can wait at the airport for those 2 hours, or I can get an Uber, a Black over to you, come pick you up on us. We're going to take you out. We're going to take you to dinner. And you got 3 or 4 options there. I've already let them know what options you have. It's on me. I've called the restaurants ahead of time, da-da-da. And that was the lead. So he led him to a solution. And ultimately he took that. He went out. They went to dinner. Family, got home about 9 o'clock. They were about 4 hours late compared to when they wanted to be home. But he got them home, got them fed, and ultimately built a relationship probably for life. And so the understanding there, when you are learning and validating the either customer or team member, is you're setting a stage that, hey, we're on equal footing here. We're both in this together. You're not alone. You're not by yourself. Let's solve this together. And one of the things that the guy at Amalfi Jets said was, I don't mind complaining, but let's complain towards a solution. And so he was directing that conversation to complain towards a solution for the customer, a solution that would make the customer happy. So let's go through these steps a little bit one by one. Listen. Shut up. I hate to say that, but shut up and pay attention. It's not your turn to talk. When you're facing adversity, when you're facing a situation where the other person does not feel equally yoked, meaning they don't feel like they've been heard out on the problem that's at hand, you need to just be quiet as a leader and listen to them and just pay attention. Active listening, certainly tell me more about that, all the techniques to try to stay engaged with them, but you do not need to talk. Then you're going to listen for the heart, not just the words. You're observing their body language. You're observing the eye contact. You're observing when they look away, when they don't look away, if they get emotional, if you see some wincing. You'll know the pain points that they have if you pay close enough attention. It's very important that you pay attention. Then you validate. And again, you do not have to agree to validate. Maybe it's your team member, person that works with you, works for you. They're complaining to you about their pay, and there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe they're fairly compensated. You can certainly say, yeah, no, I understand everybody, everything's more expensive these days. Definitely understand, we all want to get paid more money, no doubt about it. And all you're really communicating is, I'm hearing you. Now, you got to be careful because you're going to signal some things of like, I'm not going to be able to fix this problem. And in those cases, you may have to, like in a pay conversation, pivot to other things that your company is able to do or that you're able to do that maybe other companies aren't doing. And that's some of the stuff that gets lost too, right? What I'm not saying when I say validate is get run over. What I'm saying is validate their opinions and their feelings, because their feelings are valid. They have the right to respond to the stimulus of the world how they want to. But when we get to this learn, and that's why sometimes it's called level, That's where you're being curious and not defensive. You're trying to understand from their side what they're seeing, what they're thinking. Where are they getting that feedback? Ask good questions. If they're talking about pay, then you can ask, like, where are you getting those numbers? Who have you been talking to? That, like, what industry are they in? Oh, well, it's my friend, and they're in the tech industry. Okay, well, we're in manufacturing, so maybe we don't make as high margins as they do in the tech industry, right? They're selling software, or maybe they're talking about somebody who's compensated based on commission, and you're compensated primarily on base salary with bonuses available. That's how you can learn to level set and ultimately lead them towards a solution. And so once you get it, once you really understand what they're saying and what they're talking about, that's when you move towards a solution. That's when you lead with wisdom because you've acquired the information from them. You're not making assumptions. You're not immediately assuming what they mean. You're trying to get from them, from their perspective, how they see what's going on. And then that's how you get them to the right solution, one that they're going to be engaged with, one that they're also going to be invested in, and one that's going to be successful because it's a group solution. Now they feel like, oh, I was a part of the decision making. If this fails, part of it's on me. This is the point when you can challenge them. If they're talking about, again, back to salary, which is one that's really, really sensitive, and that's why I'm using it, because it's really hard to deal with. If you're talking with them and they're saying, well, I don't feel like I'm fairly compensated. Okay, why do you say that? Well, I say that because my friend Joe Bob, who works at Salesforce, that's obviously a software company, he gets paid da-da-da-da-da. And then you ask questions like, okay, well, is that commission based? Is it a base salary? Do they get bonuses? Do they have insurance benefits, et cetera, et cetera? And you're really starting to hone in on what they're complaining about. Are they complaining because they're not connected to the salary? Are they complaining because, they're jealous of Joe Bob? Whatever it may be. And then when you lead them, it may be, well, here's some things that we talked about in your performance review that you can hit, some milestones that can lead you to a salary increase. Or here is a job position that you could potentially take advantage of, but you're going to have to interview for, that would put you in a higher salary range with a little more responsibility and a little more exposure to, a commission-based pay. But here, if you have experience, which I have experience in that, I'll warn you, when you're out there on the rope, and you're challenged to be managing a profit and loss statement, and you're commission-based, or you're a greater propensity of or greater amount of your pay is based on commission, you're going to get less base pay. And when you get that less base pay, you got to go kill what you eat, so to speak, hunter-gatherer type of thing. So anyway, that's kind of how you work through the conversation. So let me shift over and let's talk about some fun pop culture references that have used this method. One that I think a lot of people will resonate with is Ted Lasso. So if you haven't watched Ted Lasso, great show that's on Apple TV. I think the first season, it could have ended. I'm not that far through season 2. I think you could have ended it season 1, and it could have been a mini series, and you could have learned a lot of life lessons just from that simple one season of it. But he didn't. So the whole story is Ted Lasso's a football coach, American football coach, that gets brought in to coach a soccer team over for AFC Richmond in England. And when he goes over there, the reason why they hired a American football coach to do it is the owner and the wife split. So now they're co-owners, and the wife is mad at the husband because he cheated on her. And so she's trying to punish him by ruining the team. But little did she know, Ted is one of the most positive people you'll ever meet, and he does a great job of listening. And the way he wins over the team is by trying to understand. He has like a comment box, and they're writing really mean stuff in the comment box because obviously they don't think Ted should be the coach either because he's never been a soccer coach. And so They don't believe in him. The team does not believe in him. But by listening, he starts to understand Roy Kent, who's the kind of older elder statesman of the soccer team. He starts to understand what matters to Roy. And he didn't push him to be captain because he was like barking orders and yelling and screaming at him. No, he started to understand Roy's frustration. Roy was aging. He was losing a step. And he validated that struggle of being left behind. But he helped Roy understand his position on the team, that Roy needed to teach others on the team how to lead and how to be team members or teammates and fill the position that was needed by them. And Roy and Jamie's the young, hot superstar, and they kind of hated each other to begin with, but slowly they started to understand each other. And Roy was able to sow into Jamie because through Ted, they had softened he'd softened their hearts. And the ultimate thing that happens is that Roy becomes the team captain and really leads the team. And late in the season, some things happen. I won't give you any spoilers, but it was really about the respect that Roy wanted, not the fame. And the only way that Ted was able to soften Roy, who was a just mean exterior and always angry and mad, was by listening to him. And then I think the one place that we've already talked about this, but this was the one where Ted was teaching us a lesson and teaching those in the room a lesson at the dart game. Ted was playing darts. Basically, the old owner wanted to sit in the box with his new wife next to the current owner. And, Ted's like, hey, I'll take that bet. Let's, but if I win, you're not allowed to come up into the booth with her for the year. Not allowed. You got to go sit down in the stadium seats or whatever. And while he's playing darts, first he starts playing left-handed or right-handed, and then he's like, I'm left-handed. But this is the part where it's coming close to the end, and he says, people have underestimated me my entire life. And for years, I never understood why. It used to really bother me. But then one day, I was driving my little boy to school, and I saw this quote painted on a wall. It said, be curious, not judgmental. And then, of course, Ted goes on to win that dart game. But what Ted's really explaining there is what you have to do as a leader in those conversations. You're going to have preconceived notions about the people that you work with, especially the ones you work closely with. Your preconceived notion is going to be, they always complain. Oh, they're just young and brash and this or that. You're cursed with knowing, which is the same thing like Thanos tells Tony Stark, right, when they're fighting the battle. You're cursed with knowing. Sometimes being too smart, sometimes being too close to people, sometimes caring too much about people. Those things are curses in these conversations where you just need to listen, validate, learn and level set, and then lead them towards a solution. But you cannot skip steps. You have to be curious, not judgmental. I know that you know things about them, and that's going to inform the conversation. But if you can take each circumstance on its own and give the opportunity for that person to share what's on their heart, what they feel in the moment, and you can really learn and listen, you will ultimately be able to lead them better, and that's how you win. Leaders are curious, and those who are curious are the winners. So let's shift over now to the verse of the day. I want you to just go ahead and prepare your heart for this one. I think it's a very important verse. It's from Proverbs. I'm going to pull it up from the Bible app because sometimes ChatGPT will give me a version that I think is a little funky, and we don't want to be funky with God's word. We want to be true to the word. So we're going to pull it from the ESV. We're going to go in here and find it, and it is in Proverbs. So if you're following along, it is Proverbs 18:13. And there we are, 18. and 13. And it says from the ESV, if one gives an answer before he hears, it is his folly and shame. So let me go to the next one here too. A man's spirit, this is 14, a man's spirit will endure sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear? And then let's go to the next one. An intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. So here's what I'm saying, and I think not even I'm saying, the Bible is telling you here. When you listen, you become more wise. If you answer before you fully hear the question, that is folly and shame. And when it talks about in 15 here, or 14, a man's spirit will endure sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear? I want you to think about that. When you cut people off and stop them before they're able to really speak and be heard, you will crush their spirit. Think about when with your kids, if you try to get them to pause. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't teach them that they have to slow down and pause in a conversation, or that they can't just always be the center of attention. Those are good life lessons. But picture, if you will, a time you're sitting at the dinner table and it's the mommy, 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 or the daddy, 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 and they want to tell you a story, and you stop them, and how frustrated and mad they get. Adults are just children that are a little bit taller. We just grew up. We didn't stop having those same feelings we do as a child. When we're stopped too often, we understand patience and we can wait. But when we're stopped too often and we're not given opportunity to speak, frequently what happens is we learn not to speak and that we will not be heard. So allow others to speak. This is true in your spiritual walk. By understanding what they need, you'll be able to sow more of the word into their heart. This is true in your work walk by listening to your teammates, your team members, and your boss in a different way. You'll be able to be better able to serve their need, or your customer or your customer's customer. Also, your wife. It applies with your children. Listening and seeking the wisdom and understanding what their heart is crying out for will allow you to sow into them and lead them towards the solution. And really, they may lead themselves there, and they may lead you to a solution you never thought possible. So listen, that is the key lesson here. So that is the LVLL method. Listen, validate, learn, or level, and lead. I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. I think this is something that can be powerful in your life. I challenge you to use this today. There's going to be somebody, there's going to be an opportunity, or somebody needs you to hear them. Take the chance, try the method, and see what happens. I promise you'll get better results than trying to short circuit the process, especially if it's somebody that you're close with. You will see it have an even greater impact with them. Again, love y'all. Want y'all to be successful. Sorry for being a few minutes late, and sorry for going a few minutes over your time, but thank you for tuning in. Come back on Thursday. We'll have another lesson for you. At the end of the day, the day's got to end, so I got to go.